Who is having a great day so far? I am. Amazing. Welcome to the most controversial talk of the day. Hopefully a little bit entertaining as well. My name is Paulina, and I'm going to tell you about my split personality disorder. Not officially classified, but I do have a businessy, very serious side and a not so serious side you might catch some glimpses of behind me. Who has ever considered that showing your naked ass to a room full of strangers might make you a better leader in business? Elliot has. Brilliant. 2 people have. Fantastic. Well, in that case, that talk may not be as useful for you. I'm sorry. But for everybody else, I hope you will get something out of this, because I will not only tell you about what the business leader in me learned from the Burlesque showgirl, but also I'll give you some tips about how to use the power of embodiment, sensuality, and yes, even sexuality in the business context in an appropriate way. Brilliant. So I hope now that you know my secret, which is my kind of out of hours life in the nightclubs of London and internationally I perform as well. Now that we're kind of in a way in bed together, you can keep this secret to yourselves, not to run my business career into the pavement. In actual fact, I'm pretty open. I'm a burlesque showgirl. I'm really proud of it. I have started performing when my business Granttree, which is currently the info in the bio was a little bit out of date. We have 50 people. We've delivered over 100 million worth of government grants to over 600 clients. So we've done a few good things. And I'm also an angel investor. I've invested in 12 tech startups. It's something that I'm very passionate about, supporting entrepreneurs. In fact, at the end, I'm going to tell you how, if you're an entrepreneur in this room, you can get 30 minutes of my time free of charge to get you some feedback on your pitch. But when it comes to my showgirl credentials, I've performed in Japan, I've performed in Canada, I've performed at the Venetian Carnival. It's just been the most extraordinary adventure in my life. But it started, just like many good things started in my life, with frustration and difficulty. It was probably 2011 when that was funny. When I was a couple of years into the development of my second business, and I felt burnt out doesn't quite capture it, because I felt like I was slowly dying. It sounds sad because my business was definitely on the uprise. It was doing well, but I felt like I've become this kind of very rational, dry-ish, ambitious, effective, yes, but kind of dry business person. And I've lost my passion, my zest for life, my creativity, all those things that used to fire me up, performing, singing. All those things were behind me because the business was consuming it all. And I felt there was a particular day, I'm based in London, I was in Piccadilly Circus for a meeting, and I just remember I had like 10 minutes to spare and I was wandering about, and I remember feeling like, I gotta do something. I've got to do something to like really find that zest for life, that passion again, because it feels like it's withering away if I don't catch it in time. I'm just going to become that kind of dry from here to there, rational business person, spending her days talking to CEOs and CFOs, and that was all satisfying, but something vital was missing for me. And I just felt, I got to do something outrageous. I got to do something weird, something out there. And as the chance might be, I was walking towards Leicester Square. On the left, I there's a club that's been featured recently in a movie Last Night in Soho, which some of you might have seen. It's called Café de Paris. And it's got this like glorious cabaret setup with like staircases leading to a stage and like booths with velvet cushions and all that. And it was daytime, so there wasn't a show on, but they were having a rehearsal, and it was a burlesque show rehearsal. And I just wandered in, and I caught a little glimpse of what was going on there. And I saw peacock feathers and sequins and like glitter and just freedom and chutzpah in the eyes of those performers just really captured me. I just thought, wow, I could be like that in another lifetime. And then I realized, well, hang on a second. I'm not quite sure if I actually believe in reincarnation. Maybe it exists, but what if I never get the opportunity to be this? And I made a decision then and there I would find out how to become a showgirl, because there must be a way to do it. So I, as you do, I contacted a few people in my network. I kind of asked them, do you know how to get into burlesque? That's just a standard business question, right? And actually, one of them responded. It was a good friend of mine, and she sent me a link to this burlesque school called The Cheek of It. I did a course. I did 2 courses. I started performing, and I'm actually in another course 12 years later as we speak. And I have my graduation show in early April. You can come talk to me about it. Gordon will be there. So it's been an extraordinary journey, but it's just influenced me to a degree where I started to show up differently in the context of work and professional career. And I will talk about that for the next 20 or 15 or so minutes, and I'll give you some tips as well, how to use embodiment, sensuality in your business to become a more powerful leader. Because whether or not you actually want to take your clothes off in front of strangers, you don't have to do that. You do have a mad creator inside of you. You have that wild side, maybe slightly forgotten or neglected. Let's pick it up. Hello, Mom? No, there's a lady talking about stripping, not now. Okay, where were we? Okay. So I really started to show up differently in business, and this started kind of changing the dynamics within my company, and I'll talk a little bit about that and how I got there. And it just influenced me to a degree that I wrote a book, like quite a few people today speaking on this stage. It's called Laid Bare, What the Business Leader Learned from the Stripper, and it's also shortlisted for the Business Book Awards this year, which I'm very happy about. Thank you, Elliot. Ah! I wish I had a little tutu to be like... Great, so how has the stripper, the showgirl in me actually contributed to my leadership? In my book, I'm also a student of Tantra. It fascinates me how it talks about concepts such as the inner feminine and masculine, which resides within every single one of us. It's fascinating. Regardless of gender, whether you're even bi-gendered or between genders, you will have the so-called feminine and so-called masculine. And while the masculine is really responsible for the doing, the action, the penetrative force in the world, the feminine is much more about intuition, nurturing, surrendering, the being in the moment. Like this moment, right now, how are you feeling? How does it feel to have your bum on your seat, to be breathing this air, to be listening or not? That's the domain of the feminine. And I used to be, as this business person, that I was starting to become much more in my masculine domain. And that's useful, and that definitely has its place. The ambition, the competitiveness, the focus, it's fantastic. But I was missing something essential, and that was the creativity, the playfulness, the intuition. And I tapped into that thanks to Burlesque. And you can do it with any kind of embodied hobby. As long as it's something that gets you into the moment, gets you into your body, it will help you to become a more powerful leader out there. It helped me to become a better listener because I was able to tune into the dynamics of what is going on in pretty much every business interaction. There is something which is beyond the level of words and what actually happens, when it comes to the words that we exchange. We all have desires. We all have things that we're trying to get out of an interaction, even if it's a standard salesperson to a potential customer. Underneath it, they're trying to meet their targets. Underneath that, they're probably trying to be worthy as a human being and prove to themselves that they can accomplish something. And they're probably trying to feed their family as well. So there's just so many layers of motivations within us. And I think becoming a performer and being able to tune into my audience, because what I just did with that joke, you need to be able to do this when you're in front of a live audience as a performer. Very often you're taking your corset off and something gets stuck. And it's but you need to play to that. You need to be able to respond to that. Or somebody laughs at a moment that you didn't expect during your act. You need to be able to be on your toes to really feel that person. And that's to the extent what I'm trying to do right now, to really feel, okay, how can I tap into a place where we can relate, where we can meet? As humans, not just a business person delivering a business speech, sort of, to a business audience. So I became a better listener. As I already mentioned, I started to tune into the chemistry because 80% of doing business, in whatever context, is about that chemistry. Just like performer and audience, you'll have one business partner to another business partner, customer to a salesperson or a business owner. You will have a really intense chemistry there. And being able to recognize the quality of that chemistry and being able to maybe influence it and change it. NLP talks about the concept of mirroring with your body, for example, what the other person, what's happening in their body. The more you can tap into that and start to learn to influence that, the more magic will happen in your business life. So, as a stripper, one thing you got to do well is stick out. So my really good friend Elliot out there is going to talk to you about being a giraffe in business. And I love that concept. Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to be comfortable with the fact you're going to make friends and you're going to make maybe critics, maybe even enemies. But the more disruptive you are, the more you're trying to change the dynamics within your industry, the more people are going to be unhappy about that because they probably have a vested interest in things running the old way. And as a stripper, the more ridiculous your costume, your stage gags, the more you can connect with your audience, the better. So it made me more comfortable with standing out and being that giraffe. Make sure you join Elliot's workshop later. I will. It taught me how to be vulnerable in front of my audience and in front of my business colleagues and my team. Quentin talked about phantoms or avatars that we have on social media. if you're there as a stripper on stage, you might be wearing a nice makeup, nice lippy and all that. It could be a man, so not even necessarily a lippy. But it's your real flesh that they're going to see. And it's really exposed. You get lots of lights and a spotlight. And it's a really vulnerable process, actually. Right now, I'm about to finish my 4th or 5th burlesque course where there's 12 of us girls. Every single one is working on an act. Oh my God, there's been classes when one of us would be in tears, would be like, I'm not sure I can do this. It's a vulnerable process. It's not just about revealing your clothes, it's about revealing a part of yourself, something that other people don't normally get to see. And what I realized is that the more I can reveal the part of myself, maybe my weakness, maybe not always being on top of my game, to others in my business, the more I make it okay for them to also not always have to be on top of their game, because we're human. And there's going to be things that happen to us. And we're going to lose our parents, and we're going to have mental health problems, which I've had over the years. There's going to be things that will influence our business performance, and it's important for people to feel safe, to realize that it's okay to be human in business. A stripper is bold, is all out, and behaves as if there was nothing to lose. And I would like to kind of leave you with this question, what would happen if you, even for a day in your business, behaved as if there was nothing to lose? Last time I really did that was at the beginning of my career when I just came out of university. I'm Polish. I was born in Poland. I migrated to the UK in 2006. And I decided I'm going to pitch myself to 5 biggest Polish software houses and tell them, you don't have any presence in the UK at the moment. I could be your UK country director. I had 0 experience in business, absolutely none. 2 of those companies actually called me to have a conversation. One of them hired me. So I became their kind of representative on the UK market with no experience. So it's possible that if you really go full out in terms of your desire, the world is going to respond. Being a showgirl taught me the art of letting go. So as burlesque dancers, we're not lap dancers. So it's very much we very much stand in our power in terms of what we reveal, what we show, whether we show it to whom. And I have had a situation where I walked out of a gig I was supposed to do. I wasn't paid, I wasn't bound by contract, so that made it a little bit easier. But I turned up. There was not many people in the audience. It kind of felt a little bit sleazy. I felt a little bit unsafe. There was no proper changing area, which for any burlesque artist is very important. You've got to put on all your sequins, and you've got to put on nice makeup, and you just need to feel like, respected in your art. And I just left. And it was the right decision for me to do that. And in a similar way, I am now an advisor to my company, which is about 50 people. My business partner and I decided to appoint a CEO. There came a time when we realized that maybe it's time to move on to other projects and employ someone who actually knows more about scaling companies than we do. So in life and in business, it's all about knowing that time to step off stage. Setting boundaries. So once there's this tiny, tiny club, I'm just going to take a look at, I'm going to have to speed up. Is it okay if I take 2 minutes more? Yes. Okay. He just wants to know what comes at the end of the speech.
There's a few more slides.
Oh, I forgot to do that. Yeah. Okay, you can do that. It's just picture. It's just pitching. It's just pictures. There's this. There is this. This is like a Madonna bra made of martini glasses. It's really cool. Yeah. There's this tiny little club in London in the Strand, which is actually, it used to be underground toilets that's been like revamped into a club. It's tiny, and it's really challenging to perform there because there's nowhere to change. You have to be in the kind of toilets, and there's this much space to put on all your costume. And you don't really have a stage as a performer. You're kind of like right up against your audience. And I was there for one New Year's Eve, performing, doing like 2 sets, so performing the same act twice during the night, once at 9 and once like after midnight. And after midnight, when people are quite drunk already, somebody tried to grab me, which is a no in the burlesque world. Absolutely no. Like, we're not lap dancers, even though lap dancers even have their boundaries, but for us, absolutely no. And I made the decision not to go back there and not to perform in any club where I felt like I had to be right up against the audience and where I felt uncomfortable. And similarly, I learned in business to set boundaries when it comes to, for example, my mental health, my self-care, which is a priority for me, where my personal time ends and begins. So boundaries, desires, connecting to my desires in business, mapped out to how I connected to the desire to perform internationally, for example. Just a few quick tips that I would like to leave you with. So, how to use your sensual, embodied power in business. It's not about seducing your boss, in case you're wondering. I wouldn't recommend that. It's about harnessing that inner magnetism, that thirst for life, and channeling it into creativity. This is shibari. So it's an art of Japanese bondage, which is kind of practiced in BDSM communities. I had a photo shoot with someone who is really good at doing that, and it felt amazing. I would say...
You didn't get roped into it then?
I chose to do it out of my own will. The more connected you are to your body, the bigger your potential for abundance, for success, for wealth as well. One Tantra teacher that I know credits her financial success to the power of her vagina. It's the first time the word sexual intercourse has been used on this stage before. Vagina, not up until right now. Vagina! Vagina, yeah! So do not be afraid to bring that power of the feminine aspect of leadership into your businesses. So that's the intuition, the nurturing, everything around your values, the impact you want to create in your industries, the way you want to change your industries. Have those conversations with your team. Empower them to make decisions to do with how they allocate their time, their energy. In my business, and that's for a whole different talk, people actually set their own salaries. and financials are completely transparent. So that's how far we've taken it in terms of bringing the feminine leadership qualities and matching that up with masculine, which is competitiveness, ambition, profit-oriented, and all those things. So I will leave you with that. I just wanted to mention that if we could have the last slide. So yes, I'm talking quite a lot about the feminine and the masculine and the power of embodiment in my book, which is my first book. I'm really proud of it. And I have an offer to all entrepreneurs in the room. If you would be kind enough to read it and leave an Amazon review for any first-time author, reviews are very important because they match up to all sorts of rankings and things. I will be delighted to find a 30-minute slot in my diary to give you some feedback on your pitch as an angel investor, or talk about any burning issue that you're currently facing in your business. And my contact details are on the next slide. Oh, and my next Burlesque show is on Sunday the 4th in London. Come find me. I'm so happy to send you a link. That's all from me. Thank you.